Rain drifted down in silver threads, soft against the glow of street lamps, turning the sidewalks into mirrors. On those wet streets walked a boy, shoulders hunched beneath a faded hoodie, sneakers slapping puddles as he tried to ignore the ache, twisting his stomach. His name was Malik, and hunger had become a daily visitor. Not for himself alone, his younger sister Layla waited in their apartment, pretending not to notice when dinner was scarce. Tonight, he could not bear to see her curl up with only water to fill her belly. Behind a glowing restaurant, where luxury cars lined the curb and laughter spilled through glass walls, Malik lingered in the shadows. He watched chefs bag uneaten meals and toss them toward the bin. Each clatter felt like mockery, abundance discarded while emptiness gnawed at his insides. He wasn't a beggar, he told himself. He would never kneel. But pride trembled when Layla's face came to mind. Her small voice asking if tomorrow would be better. A sedan purred at the curb, sleek and black, the kind of car that whispered wealth. Its passenger door opened, and out stepped a man in a tailored coat, phone glowing in his hand. Victor Kane, the kind of name that filled business pages, a man whose signature could move markets. Malik didn't know his face from headlines. He only saw someone walking away from plenty. The boy drew a breath, rehearsing words in his mind. Polite, clear, not desperate. His heart hammered, but his voice stayed steady. "Excuse me, sir," he said. "If you're not going to finish your food, may I take it home?" Victor stopped mid-stride, brows furrowing. He glanced down, expecting a beggar's plea. Instead, he found a boy standing upright, rain slicking his sleeves but not bowing his head. No tremble of shame in his tone, just dignity wrapped in hunger. There is a ledger the world ignores, a balance sheet of conscience. Victor felt it stir now. He had climbed from narrow beginnings nights above a laundromat, meals stretched thin, but decades of power had buried those memories beneath marble floors and glass towers. Yet this boy's words unearthed them like fragile relics. "What's your name?" Victor asked. "Malik. My sister's at home. She's 9. We split everything." The answer pierced through Victor's defenses. It wasn't a complaint. It was a statement of duty. The boy didn't mention himself, only her. Victor could have walked away. He could have tossed a container, satisfied his conscience with a gesture. Yet something held him still. Kindness given in passing fades quickly. But responsibility shared, acknowledged, can alter destiny. "Come with me," Victor said. "If we're doing this, we'll do it properly." The restaurant's chandeliered glow wrapped them as they entered. Conversations faltered when eyes caught the sight. A boy in a soaked hoodie beside a man in a $1,000 coat. The hostess hesitated, but Victor's voice carried authority. "A table by the window. 2 bowls, 2 spoons. And bring the leftovers." Malik stiffened under the stares, but he did not lower his gaze. Layla's hunger outweighed their judgment. The container arrived, steam curling from beneath the lid. Victor slid it to the center of the table. "We share," he said. "Always." "Share." Malik's fingers shook as he lifted a spoonful, then paused. "May I take most of it home?" Victor nodded slowly. "Yes, but eat something here with me first." As the boy tasted the meal, closing his eyes against its warmth, silence settled between them. Not the silence of awkwardness, but of recognition too. Lives colliding across a gulf of years, one remembering hunger, the other living it. Victor leaned back, watching. "Tell me your plan," he said. Malik blinked. "My plan?" "Yes, tonight you eat. Tomorrow? Next month? Next year? What's your plan?" The boy lowered his spoon, thinking. Then he answered, firm and deliberate. "Keep my sister safe. Finish school, work, save, move us somewhere better." It was not polished. It was not strategic. But it was real. Maya, the waitress hovering nearby, slipped a pen from her apron and a slip of paper. "Write it," she whispered. "Make it real." Malik scribbled the words, his handwriting jagged but clear. He folded the paper, placed it beside the container, and looked up. That's my plan. For now. Victor stared at the boy, then at the words. Something stirred inside him, something long dormant. He realized that this was more than a request for food. This was an invitation to remember who he once was, and to decide who he wanted to be again. The rain outside eased into silence. But within those walls, the story had only just begun. The city glimmered under streetlights, puddles catching reflections like shards of a broken mirror. Victor and Malik stepped out of the restaurant together, the boy clutching the warm container, the man shielding him beneath an umbrella broad enough for two. They walked without hurry, silence bridging the distance between privilege and need. Which way? Victor asked. Malik pointed down a dim street, where neon flickered above shuttered shops and stairwells smelled faintly of damp stone. With each block, the millionaire's polished shoes struck the pavement like foreign notes in a song. He no longer knew. Yet the rhythm of Malik's stride, steady despite worn sneakers, reminded him of something buried his own boyhood struggle. Before power had turned memory into myth. At the apartment, Malik climbed the crooked stairs, wood groaning under there. Wait, the hallway was narrow, the paint flaked, the air tinged with old dust. Victor followed, uneasy, his tailored coat too sharp for such surroundings. Malik unlocked a door and pushed it open. Inside was not chaos but care. Books stacked neatly against the wall, notebooks sprawled across a small table, and a single lamp bathing the room in amber glow. Layla, no more than 9, looked up from her scribbles. Her eyes widened at the sight of Victor, but her gaze darted instantly to the container. Is that for us? She whispered. Malik nodded. Yes, we'll share. She opened the lid reverently, steam curling like incense. Her hands moved carefully, dividing the portions as if serving royalty. She placed the largest share in front of her brother before taking a small portion for herself. Watching her, Victor felt his throat tighten. It was his mother he remembered now, serving him first, always smiling as though hunger never touched her, though it hollowed her quietly. He sat down, uninvited yet welcomed by the glow of their gratitude. You remind me of someone, he said softly. Malik glanced up. Who? My mother, Victor replied. She taught me that dignity isn't about riches. It's about how you protect the people you love. The boy didn't answer. He was too busy ensuring his sister had enough. His small shoulders squared as though carrying a weight no child should bear. When the meal was nearly gone, Victor pulled a card from his pocket, the embossed letters gleaming faintly in the lamp's glow. He placed it on the table. Call this number tomorrow. Ask for my assistant. Tell her I want you enrolled in a program we sponsor. Malik frowned. Why me? Because you didn't beg, Victor said. You asked with respect. And you showed more responsibility tonight than men I see every day. Layla's eyes lit up, but Malik hesitated. What if I fail? Victor leaned closer. Failure is just another kind of schooling. What matters is not refusing the lesson. The room held stillness, but beneath it stirred possibility. Days later, the story reached ears beyond the apartment. A reporter learned of it, and soon headlines carried distorted versions. Millionaire feeds poor boy. Publicity stunt or real? Compassion? Critics sneered, skeptics scoffed. Malik read the comments, each word like a pebble against his ribs. Maybe I shouldn't have asked, he murmured. Layla squeezed his hand. You did the right thing. Victor, too, felt the sting of doubt. He had not invited cameras, yet cynicism hunted him anyway. Alone in his office, high above the city, he wondered if helping one boy mattered against a world eager to twist sincerity into spectacle. But conscience spoke louder. He arranged a small press gathering, not to defend himself, but to honor the boy. Standing before microphones, he said, This is not charity. This is partnership. Malik showed me dignity, resilience, and courage. I only offered resources. The strength was already his. The boy stood beside him, eyes wary of the crowd. He wanted to vanish, yet Victor's hand rested on his shoulder, firm and steady. That single gesture spoke more than speeches. And slowly, the city began to see differently. Teachers reached out with extra help. A tutoring center waived fees. Neighbors who once looked past Malik's family now stopped to encourage. Out of doubt grew support, and the boy's world widened. Yet with each widening came pressure. Homework piled high. Expectations grew heavier. Malik bore them quietly, late nights bent over books, Layla asleep beside him. When Victor visited, he noticed the shadows under the boy's eyes. You don't have to carry everything alone, Victor said one evening. Malik looked up, his voice firm. If I don't, who will? Victor flinched. He saw himself at that age, hustling, refusing help, convinced only isolation built strength. He realized Malik's fight was not just about survival, it was about pride, and the refusal to let life strip it away. Weeks passed. The apartment smelled of sharpened pencils and cheap dinners, of sweat and effort, and Layla's occasional laughter. Beneath it all ran fear. If Malik stumbled, the fall would be public now. Victor knew this, which is why one evening he handed the boy an envelope. Inside were 2 tickets to a university lecture by a world-renowned scholar. I don't just want you fed, Victor said. I want you to see how far knowledge can carry you. Malik held the tickets as if they might break in his hands. He had never imagined stepping into such halls. His world was shifting again, and he had no map for the path ahead. But sometimes, the map is drawn with footsteps. And with each step, Malik walked closer to a destiny larger than leftovers. The lecture hall rose like a cathedral of knowledge, its high arches glowing beneath golden light, filled with rows of polished students whispering over notebooks. Malik gripped his ticket tightly, his heart racing as he stepped inside for the first time. Layla clung to his hand, wide-eyed, uncertain whether they truly belonged among such grandeur. Victor walked with calm assurance beside them, his presence a shield against the weight of judgmental stares. The scholar began to speak, weaving stories of nations and leaders, explaining how history often turned not on battles, but on truths, whispered by those the powerful overlooked. Malik leaned forward, absorbing every word, scribbling notes as if his pencil could not keep pace with his mind. Layla copied him, eager to follow. Watching them, Victor felt pride stir deep inside. The boy who once asked for scraps now hungered for knowledge far richer than food. But the world is quick to test anyone who dares to rise. At school, rumors spread like wildfire. Some mocked Malik as a charity case. Others whispered that he didn't earn the opportunities, that pity had placed him where he stood. Malik clenched his fists when the insults came, but he never lowered his eyes. Still, each word pressed down like a stone, threatening to crush his resolve. Victor found him one evening, sitting by the window with his books unopened. What's wrong? He asked. They don't believe in me, Malik muttered. They say I'm only here because of you. Victor's answer was steady. People said the same to me. They thought my success was luck or someone else's hand. But luck doesn't write plans. You choose your story, Malik. Will you let their voices tell it for you? The boy's eyes lifted, determination flickering back to life. No, I'll write mine. Weeks later, a debate competition was announced, offering a scholarship as the prize. Malik signed up, though whispers insisted he wasn't ready. On the day of the contest, he stood among students dressed in tailored uniforms, their voices trained by tutors. Malik wore a second-hand shirt, his note cards trembling in his grip. Yet when he looked at Layla in the audience, her faith anchored him. When his turn came, Malik spoke not with polish, but with conviction. You speak of poverty like it's just numbers, but poverty has a face. It has a sister waiting for food at home. It has children who study under broken lights because bills go unpaid. And yet, Inside those struggles is strength. That strength deserves opportunity. The auditorium fell silent. Judges leaned forward. Even the most skeptical competitors lowered their gaze. Malik's words carried the weight of lived truth. When the results were read, his name was announced as the winner. Layla's cheer rang out first, her joy unrestrained. The victory opened doors to advanced programs, but also brought new burdens. Malik feared leaving Layla behind, afraid that chasing his own future meant abandoning her. One evening, Victor sat across from him and spoke quietly. "You think protecting her means standing still. But the best way to protect her is to climb higher. Build something she can stand on. You're not leaving her behind, you're lifting her." Tears filled Malik's eyes, but he nodded. For the first time, he understood that his rise could carry both of them. Seasons turned. Malik studied late into the night, filling notebooks with ideas. Layla flourished, following his example. Victor remained close, not with extravagance, but with steady encouragement. Malik's story spread quietly through the city, not of charity, but of transformation. He was no longer a boy begging behind a restaurant. He was becoming a symbol of resilience, proof that greatness could rise from humble beginnings when courage met opportunity. Months later, Malik stood before younger students delivering a speech. His voice carried calm strength, no longer uncertain. "I once asked a stranger for leftovers," he began. "I thought I was asking for food. But what I really received was a chance to change my story. Not because someone gave me everything, but because someone believed I was worth investing in, and that made me believe in myself. Your story can change too. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." Applause erupted. Layla smiled proudly in the front row. Victor watched from the back, his heart swelling. He had opened a door, but Malik had chosen to walk through it. And in helping the boy, Victor had rediscovered something of his own humanity. Long buried beneath success, the night Malik first asked for scraps in the rain had changed them both. A boy had gained opportunity, and a man had found redemption.